They are fun and exciting. I am talking about cell phones. Now, cell phones and fast internet is a bad combination in the class. Cell phones are well embedded into our personal lives, but do they have a place in schools? Cell phones disruptions have become quite severe, driving some schools to issue a zero cell phone policy through mandating their students to use a smartphone lock, a pouch that prevents the students from having access to their cell phones. But not every school administration views cell phones as an enemy, and certainly not at Wareham High School. Currently, the cell phone policy at Wareham High School grants the use of cell phone only during lunch break. However, the administration is exploring the possibility of increasing this privilege by having the students also have access to their cell phones between classes. Do you think that's going to present an even tougher challenge, that if you have it in a hallway, what's going to prevent a student to not bringing it in the classroom and using it in the classroom?
Right. So, it's all about the teachers and what they permit. You kind of promote what you permit. And, I would expect the teachers to follow the handbook. Keep in mind, all these changes would have to be approved by the school committee at the end of the year when we go to ask for our handbooks to be approved. So there's still a lot of hoops to go through in this process. But, the theory is, if the student has to send a quick text to the parent, they would do that in the hallway versus trying to sneak onto their cell phone in the classroom. So I would hope what we would see is that there'd be less students inclined to try and use their cell phone in the classroom and more students paying attention to the instruction that's going on.
Now, some teachers, listening to this program, they would argue that that's not their job to enforce cell phone policy in the classroom, that, they should not be able to teach and also be able to monitor who's on their cell phone and who isn't, right? That just cell phones to be banned out of the classroom, period. So when the students are in the class, it's just all about learning and the teacher's there to fulfill his or her position.
Right, but there's a lot of housekeeping procedures that teachers have to deal with. This is just one of them. And I think if you approach it early and set the tone early and often, what happens is the students understand the expectations.
Okay, so what are you hearing from your teachers, about their cell phone policy?
Well, they have a voice. They are being surveyed as we speak. So I think what we're hearing is that, times are changing. They're looking to make some modifications. Certainly, I don't think they want them in the classroom, and I can understand there's really no need now. If we weren't a one-on-one school, we'd probably need the cell phones to be used for educational purposes. They're looking for a little bit more consistency as far as, first three-step process. They're looking at first step being a warning by the teacher, second step kind of being a detention, third step would be a referral to administration, and then it would go up from there.
Okay. So what role do you think the cell phones should play in the school?
So from an educational standpoint, the opportunities are endless in regards to what it could do in the classroom. Even in the math class, although it's not a scientific calculator, there's still a calculator on there. Just the what can be done in the 21st century from an educational standpoint with phones, it's awesome.
Cell phone usage in school is a polarizing issue. Some teachers have disclosed that they are not fond of these devices, while others feel that cell phones can be used as a positive tool.
So I definitely just want them to know that it's a tool, and actually you can learn a lot on a cell phone besides going on apps like Snapchat. There's a lot of tools and apps that are made for the classroom, and I'd rather them learn to do that than just be distracted by it on their desk.
So are we saying that the pros are way more than the cons in this particular situation, in this particular school?
I think it's probably neutral, and I think it depends on who has the phone. We choose to address it maybe a little differently than some schools.
And how do you address it? What's the messages do you think it's just the majority of your students are, wonderful students, that they just listen to the policy and respect the policy, or is it about the message that you deliver? What kind of message do you deliver?
I think we try and bring the message early. The first 2 days we meet with all students and go over some policies. We don't read all the policies to them, but they get the handbook and they get a chance to read through it and understand the policy. And to me, it's about respect. 98% of the kids, they don't have an issue with the cell phones. 2% we have to deal with on occasion, but really we've got other issues besides cell phones that we really have to deal with.
The argument is that cell phones can also be used in case of emergencies, but is that the student's role to play 911 responder also being a student, or should the system be respected in school, that there are teachers with cell phones, that there are protocols to be made?
We spend a lot of time on school safety. Knock on wood, I hope we never have an issue with that. But certainly that's an area where you can say cell phones could be used in a positive way and with a negative situation. I think the more information the police can get, the better, so they know how to respond in any situation. Certainly, you'll be bogging down the 911 system, but there's the systems in place to bounce to other areas of the state to receive those calls. But I think if, God forbid, you ever have a situation, you want everyone to be your eyes and ears. The more eyes and ears you have, I think the better.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks again.